Okay, now with the next slide that about the workers. So here along with this first point that more than 90% of the total population present in the hive or the comb is consist of the workers. It means that in more number you will observe that there are much more number of the workers they are present within a hive or the comb. These workers are atrophied female that we have seen in our first video, that these are the workers which are the atrophied female, or either we can say that these are the sterile females which cannot produce or which cannot lay their eggs, and they sacrifice their total life in the service of the queen and the hive and its residents. Generally, they live for about 3 months in a off season, but in busy seasons this is reduced to half. So generally we can say that they live for near about 90 days. So numerous adaptations have occurred in the worker for performing the various functions. So if you see their body, that their body is covered with a number of branched hairs, so that when these workers or bee visit a flower, pollen grains they attach to the hairs and other parts of the body, and obviously this pollen grain, whatever the pollen grains are there, these pollen grains when they attach or stick with their body hairs at that time, obviously it will perform pollination. Now coming to the next one. See here that this is the overall structure of the honeybee. So these are the antennas, then these are the forelegs, middle legs and the hind legs, and the rest of the part, that is the wings, particularly pollen comb and the pollen basket. So why I have shown this particular structure, because in next slide, next points, we are going to learn about more and more about this particularly underlying words. So first one, that the workers cleans off the pollen grains with a special structure, the antenna cleaners on each foreleg, pollen brushes on all legs and pollen comb on the hind legs. So if you see here, particularly see here that this one. Okay, so these are the, this one is the foreleg, and foreleg contains the particular bristles over this foreleg, and these are called as the antenna cleaners. With the help of these hind legs, it contains the pollen basket and the pollen comb. Okay. So this pollen basket will carry the pollen grains or the pollens, and obviously pollen comb also, which is used to clean the pollen grains which are attached or adhere with their body. Then all pollens are stored in the pollen basket present on the outer surface of the tibia on hind legs. If you see here that this one, that is here, that this is the pollen basket. So this pollen basket is used for the storage purpose of the what, pollen grains. Then apart from this, the water and nectar are gathered by means of the sucking mouthparts, though the mouthparts are not shown in this diagram, but this worker having the mouthpart like the sucking part. Okay, so sucking mouthparts are present within this worker, and with the help of the sucking mouthparts, this worker will take or will gather the water and the nectar. Then the workers are provided by a sting at the tip of abdomen, which is actually a modified ovipositor. Then next one, again it is a special structure, that this is the hind leg of a worker bee, which contains the pollen ball and the pollen comb. So I already told you that this pollen ball will be nothing but it will contain the number of pollen grains. So a large poison storage sac is connected with the base of what, sting. So already we have discussed about that, that the sting actually it is a modified ovipositor, and the sting it is used by the worker to attack over the person or the animal which is going or approaching towards their hive. Then two acidic and one alkaline gland mix their secretion to form the poison which is injected by the operation of muscles to the animals. During the withdrawal of the prey's body, the sting alone with other poison apparatus are torn off, and it will result in the death of the worker or the honeybee. Then the worker bee do every kind of work in a colony, and which type of work they will do, that is the building of the hive with waxy secretion from the hypothalamus gland, and this hypothalamus gland is situated on ventral aspect of the 4th to 7th abdominal sterna. So we know that insect, particularly these honeybee, have the segmented body. Obviously we know that insect having the segmented body. So particularly on the 4th to 7th abdominal sterna, we can observe that there is a hypothalamus gland, and this gland will release the wax. Now they rear the comb and secrete royal jelly from the pharyngeal gland in their heads and distribute the food to the grubs. So what does it mean? It means that they rear the comb and they will secrete the royal jelly. Now this royal jelly will be secreted from which, that is a pharyngeal gland, and where it is located? It is located in their heads, and this royal jelly will be given or fed to the grubs. Again, their important work is that they will keep the warmness of the hive. Means what? They will maintain the temperature. When the colony become heated, they fan out the hot air along with their wings. So they will constantly vibrate, or they will constantly move their wings, nothing but to maintain the temperature of the hive. And how much temperature? So it is given here in next point that the hive temperature is generally maintained between the 33 to 36 degrees Celsius irrespective of external conditions. Means irrespective of external condition, whatever the conditions may be there, either it may be the winter, either it may be the summer, but throughout the year their temperature will be maintained between 33 degrees Celsius to 36 degrees Celsius. Then again their important work is that they guard the colony against their enemies. So whenever their enemy reaches or approaches towards their hive, obviously very soon or sudden they will attack over that particular animal who is approaching towards their hive or the colony. Then they take care of the store of honey, since the honey when freshly gathered from the flower contains a good deal of the moisture. So when they will collect the nectar from the flower at the time, obviously the nectar is sweet in taste and which contains the higher amount of the sugar. So along with water and their secretion, that these workers, they will carry that honey. Roughly we will say that that is honey. Okay, so that honey will be transported from flower up to their hive, and at that time it contains much more amount of the moisture. Why? Because it contains the more amount of water. So the ripening process will be done because of the evaporation. So the bees ripen it by evaporating the moisture and then close the cells containing the honey with a layer of wax. So we know, we already seen that the hive contains this type of the hexagonal cells. So within this hexagonal cells, queen will lay the eggs. Now after laying the egg, from that egg what will come out, that is the grub, and this grub will be fed by the workers, that is by the honey, right? So after, imagine that this cell is now filled up with this honey. Okay, so imagine whatever the color I am filling here within this cell, now it is the honey. So very soon the water from this honey will be evaporated, right? So this direction or this arrow means what? That water is evaporated. Now what is remaining within that cell? That is called as the honey, which will be the thick in nature or sticky in nature. Their thickness will be the more because of the evaporation. Now it is called as the ripening. So They keep the hive clean by throwing, again the next work which is assigned to them is that they keep the hive clean by throwing out dirt, debris and the dead honeybees. They take care of queen, attending to her and feeding her, that is royal jelly. They gather nectar, pollen and water, commonly known as bee forage. Okay, I repeat again that these workers gather the nectar, pollen and water, and commonly it is called as the bee foraging or the bee forage for the bees of the colony as food, and also dark colored gum called as the bee glue or the propolis, with which they will stop the cracks and crevices in the hive. So, in this way they will protect their colony or the hive from the cracking or the breakage. Then next one is that the older workers carry out the outside work, and these workers are known as the forages. It means that whatever the older workers are there, those having the experience, those who are the older, they are assigned to work to which work? To collect the pollen, then the water from the outside. Okay, so outside work is allotted to these older workers, and these bees or the workers are known as the forages. This one, and while those who are younger workers, they will carry out the work inside the hive, and they are known as, these are known as nurse bees. Now coming to the next one, that is life history of worker. So worker bees are reared in ordinary cells of the comb. The queen lays a fertilized egg in each cell, and incubation period is about 3 days. The newly hatched group is filled by the nurse bees for about how many days? That is 6 days. Then for the first 3 days, the food given to it is the royal jelly. It means that during the first 3 days, means which first 3 days? From the egg that grub will come out, right? And to this grub, for the first 3 days, this worker will feed the royal jelly. Subsequently, it is deep red, which is less nutritious. So whatever the royal jelly is there, actually it is less nutritious rather than the royal jelly which is fed to the queen. That's why their development will be the different, and obviously instead of forming the queen or a fertile female, this female will be the atrophied female or the sterile female, and in future they will be known as or they called as the worker bees. Then after 6 days of feeding, the cell is kept closed and the grub develops inside and comes out as an adult worker bee is about 11 to 12 days old. Then the longevity of the worker is about 90 days during the slack season, but during the brisk season that life is reduced. Okay, so it was all about the workers.